Today in the podcast, we're talking about Perplexity, and they are actually catching some heat, being accused of scraping websites that have explicitly blocked AI scraping. So, kind of breaking the rules a little bit, impersonating real people with, specific browsers and things, trying to hide the fact that they're bots. All kinds of accusations. So, we're going to talk about them today. They're one of our favorite AI companies to talk about around here. So we're going to get deep into it. Before we do, Jaeden, why don't you tell them about our school community?
Yeah, so every week, Jamie and I record a bonus piece of content and we post it all over on our school community. We don't post it anywhere else. And you get access to it for $20 a month. And basically, this content is us explaining different tools, strategies, and techniques that we're actively doing in our own businesses. So it's stuff we don't share publicly, but it's all inside of this community. There's over 300 members. It's amazing. $19 a month. This week, we recorded a whole video. Basically, I got interviewed by the Wall Street Journal yesterday on ChatGPT's deep research tool and the best tips, how to use it effectively, what I'm actively using it for, some of those pros and cons. And so we did a deep dive, basically demoing some of my prompts and tools and showing how it works and some interesting things. So if that or over 60 other videos that we posted over the last year are interesting to you, basically in growing and scaling your business with AI tools, go check out the AI Hustle School community. It's discounted right now at $19 a month. We'll raise the price in the future, but if you want to lock in that price, you can go check it out. And the price won't ever be raised on you. Amazing community. We'd love to see you there. Okay, let's get into all the drama with Perplexity, because everyone's like, a bunch of people have accused them, but a lot of people are coming to their defense, which is just a drama I love to see with Perplexity. Basically, what's going on was on Monday, Cloudflare calling them out, naming and shaming. They published some research, and over on the research, they said that they saw that basically Perplexity ignores blocks and it would hide its crawling and scraping activities. So Cloudflare's kind of become famous recently because they set up this thing where if you are a company, you can block AI models from scraping your website. And, there's all this drama because companies like Wikipedia say like they spend so much money, like a third of their traffic is bots, and they spend so much money like serving data to bots. And they're like, it's not even real people. And so Wikipedia was mad. And Cloudflare basically came up with a solution that I thought was cool, where you can, if you're using Cloudflare as an intermediary, they will basically your server kind of runs through them, your web traffic runs through them, and they detect that something's a bot, they'll block it. You have the ability as a website owner to block it. They also have another option that they're rolling out right now, creating a marketplace so you can say bots can scrape your website, but they have to compensate. They have to use tokens, and they basically compensate you for scraping it, so you actually get paid for it. So it's not such a drag on you. And so this has kind of been the solution Cloudflare is using. Now, in their recent research, they say that Perplexity is using stealth undeclared crawlers to evade website no-crawl directives. Now, off the bat, I feel like this sounds bad. A lot of people are like, oh my gosh, this is terrible. Not everything is as it seems, but I guess, Jamie, what did you think when you first saw the story?
I mean, I think it's interesting. I think, how are we, and I think what the article is going to get at and what we're talking about here today is what's the difference between a robot text crawler that's training an AI model compared to someone who's using an AI agent to research and find information for them? Is there a difference between those two, and should we, allow one and not the other? So I think it's a really interesting debate, and I think I can see why some people are, defending Perplexity, because if someone is doing some deep research on something and they're just trying to save time with Perplexity, why wouldn't they be able to access, a certain website? I don't know. What are your thoughts on it? Because I feel I could see both sides of it.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. I feel like, first of all, I would say that Cloudflare was pretty aggressive in the call out here. They said some supposable reputable AI companies act more like North Korean hackers. Time to name, shame, and hard block them. This is Cloudflare. Really, really ripping a new one onto Perplexity. They don't like this. What's interesting, though, there's a bunch of people over on X kind of posting more what's happening. Lies, which is Joker_ZI. Shout out for your great analysis. You just gotta love you gotta love some Twitter users. There'll be like this massive controversy, and some really technical person with like really deep understanding will will give his breakdown on the situation. Anyways, he said they are not accessing private data. Doing a GET request to a publicly available HTML endpoint is not illegal, and there is legal precedent for this. If you don't want scrapers, put the data behind auth walls, and there you will have your terms and service to stand by. Otherwise, you got nothing. Kind of has a good point, which is um, if you don't make it if you don't make it so you have to have an account to see the data, it's technically publicly available. There's no way you
Right.
really can stop all scrapers. I know people don't like that because like, well, we told them not to scrape, but there's no legal precedent and you can't force anyone to. So that's his argument. I understand that argument. Personally, I'm on the side of just like, I don't know. I'm on the side of the bots because I think it's great that Perplexity exists. I think it's a cool tool and all those kind of tools. I know a lot of people on the content side are mad. That's just my personal opinion. So that's the argument. But I think the argument actually gets a lot better than that. This is what was written over on Hacker News. Someone said, if I, as a human, request a website, then I should be shown the content. Why would the LLM accessing the website on my behalf be in a different legal category as my Firefox web browser? This is a really good point because this is one of the situations where basically Cloudflare was all up in arms about, is that if I'm using Perplexity and I just say like, hey, you know, go over to this, to cars.com and like find me the top 7 most affordable Honda Acuras in my city. I don't know if cars.com is even a website, by the way. So, don't quote me on this. But like basically, right? Like you say, go to this specific website, look for these things, bring me back this information. And basically you're using Perplexity like a search engine that's just way more useful. Perplexity can do this kind of thing. Now, let's say cars.com is like, no, we have a no AI, no AI bot thing. So we don't want anyone to scrape us. Well, sure, but like, do you want me to just go and manually have to do this and parse through the data myself? Like, no, that's horrible. That's bad user experience. I want to use Perplexity to do it. So like literally that's no different than me doing it myself. It's just I'm using a tool to save me time. And so the problem is that a lot of these AI companies get swept up in basically being called crawler bots, but like a human is actively directing them to do that, to retrieve information that's useful. So I think that's basically where the argument gets pretty flawed, and I don't think Perplexity is doing anything wrong in that regard.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a fine line. I feel like because I could see the frustration. Well, and I think they could be upset Cloudflare about because basically it sounds like Perplexity is finding a way around their software that they just created to charge people for data. Do you think? I mean, or at least maybe they're realizing there's some holes in their plan. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, so basically what I think was actually happening, because Perplexity came out and published a whole article on this. It's kind of funny. The drama was pretty good. They called out Cloudflare's blog post. They called it a sales pitch for Cloudflare. They made their own blog post defending themselves. They said that the behavior was from a third-party service that occasionally used. I think they said, quote, the difference between automated crawling and user-driven fetching isn't just technical, it's about who gets to access the information on the open web. This controversy reveals that Cloudflare's systems are fundamentally inadequate for distinguishing between legitimate AI assistance and actual threats. So shots fired because basically Cloudflare came out and said Perplexity is supposedly a reputable company, but they're like, not listening to anyone's like do not crawl things and breaking all the rules, and they're a bad company. We're going to name and shame them. And then Perplexity came out and said, actually, our users are just using our tool to go to websites and retrieve information. And if you can't tell the difference, then your services are inadequate for detecting real threats. Basically, your whole company's useless. So I kind of love this drama, the beef between. Probably the real truth is somewhere between the middle. Perplexity probably had a couple tools in there they shouldn't have. It seems like a majority was good. There's probably a few things they were doing that weren't good. And Cloudflare honestly does need, I think, to have some sort of system to differentiate between the two of those, because how could that possibly be? Like, how could you block any AI tool that a user is actively directing? So I see both sides of the argument here. I think Perplexity is gonna win this probably, but yeah, I do love all the drama.
Yeah, because I mean, there really is a big problem with a lot of these AI companies training off of copyrighted information, particularly if you look at like YouTube or some of the music industry stuff. And so I could see there definitely is a need there for, if an AI model is training off of something, they should be compensated somehow. But then it kind of, if someone's doing research on a particular topic and it comes across this information, does it have it's getting sucked up into the system anyways? I don't know. It's a tricky situation to figure out, but
it is a tricky
yeah.
situation, especially considering the fact that according to a report which is done by it's Imperva. They have a report called the Bad Bot Report. And apparently AI traffic accounts for over 50%. For the first time ever in internet history, AI bot traffic is over 50% of internet
Wow.
traffic. So if you have a website, 50% of the visitors to your website are going to be bots. Now, I do think we need a way to differentiate this, because I know everything's getting sucked up into this. People that are self-directing versus bots that are scraping data, that should be treated differently, probably, or at least classified differently in case we make rules where you need to pay for training data. But yeah, if I'm using a tool like OpenAI or ChatGPT and I tell it to go to a website and do a thing, like, I want it to just do the thing, especially with agents, right? Because once we get into the age of agents, you might have 7 agents running, and I might be saying, go to YouTube and watch every video about this specific topic and write, a detailed report on, what we should be doing differently in how we're treating this topic versus what you're seeing on, popular YouTube tutorials. And so all of a sudden, if every single bot was getting blocked as like a bot, but like I'm actively trying to, do something, it just feels like a human was directing that. So I think it'd be good to differentiate. That's my opinion. We'll see where this falls. It feels like, to be honest, based off of the regulatory what's happening. Trump gave this whole like AI speech recently where he said there wasn't, I don't think, any regulation specifically on this, but in his speech, he seemed sympathetic with AI, more sympathetic with AI companies, and said something along the lines of, it's impossible for these AI companies to stay competitive if they have to pay for all copyrighted material that they take in and train off of. And he put forth the argument that you've heard both sides of this, but the argument that an AI model taking in data, learning from it, and incorporating it into his model is the same as a human doing that. And so humans don't have to go pay for every article they read online. Therefore, an AI model shouldn't, yada, yada. So I think because that's kind of the line of reasoning that he has been putting forth in that, I think we'll probably expect policy to come out of the White House along those lines. And we'll probably see AI companies not have to pay for a lot of this copyrighted data. That's, in my opinion, where this is probably going to go, but we'll definitely watch that further because that'll play into all of this as well.
Hey, if you enjoyed this episode, please be sure to leave us a review wherever you are listening from. We really appreciate those. They help us out, and we read every single one. And again, be sure to check out the AI Hustle School community if you're interested in growing your business using AI, or also making money on the side with AI. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.